Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going through some of the basic stuff you need to know about Onshape before you start CADing, and that's going to include making an account, getting access to the FTC parts library, setting up a team, and some general navigation basics, how you get around Onshape. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, go to onshape.com. And from here, I'm going to assume you're a student. You're going to want to create a student account. And so here you can just put in your details and it'll walk you through the process. It's pretty straightforward and quick, and you get access to most of the functionality of a paid plan for free because you're a student. So now that hopefully you've done that, we can go back to Onshape homepage and sign in. And now Onshape will bring you to what is essentially a home page from where you can navigate to your documents and anywhere else you might want to go. Now, before we start doing some major CAD and workflow topics, there's some basic setup you have to do. So the first thing is to go to the App Store and get installed the FTC parts library, or in this case, I believe it's the FTC insert part tool, something along the lines of that. And now I found it down here, it's the FTC insert tool. And so by using this, you are able to import any any part CAD from any of the major FTC suppliers directly into your documents without fishing through public libraries and whatnot. It's just right here in your toolbar. And we're going to cover what this toolbar's functionality is later on in the video. But for now, just make sure you get this because it's really the easiest way to get access to these files, and it's great to have them early on so you can start using them as soon as possible. And now with that done, we can head back to the home page. Now, the next step, again, we're gonna hold off on opening a document for a little bit, is if you are the first person on your team to be using Onshape or the first one to really have it set up, then you might want to make a team, an Onshape team that allows you to easily collaborate with your peers. And so how you would set that up is you would click on this logo here and then my account. And then down here, you would navigate to teams at the bottom of this list. And you can see I'm a member of all these different teams, but really you're going to want to create a team, and I'm going to call it demo, and the description will be for demoing. And I can go ahead and create this team, and now I'm able to add members, and as you will see later, you can also share files to this team and make it really simple to share files with the people who you want to be working with. And this really simplifies the workflow because otherwise you have to manually share files with every person who you want to be working with. And so hopefully if you need to get this set up, you've done so, and we can return back to the homepage. So now that you've just made a team, now you're going to want to put some stuff in that team. And so the first thing you might want to do is make a folder. Now, technically, you can put documents directly into a team. However, that kind of makes for some funny organization, so it usually simplifies things a great deal to just have a folder or multiple folders that you put in a team, and then you can access documents through those folders. And so if you own the team, then you would want to go into created by me or really anywhere, but in one of these top three actually, and hit create, and then you can create a folder. And so I'm just going to call this demo because that's what the team is called as well. So we can create this team, this folder, and then if we navigate here to the owned by me and then demo, we can now share this with the team. And so I hit share and teams, and now I can share it with demo. And I've selected this permission here, so any member of demo can edit, copy, export, comment on uh, on the team, on this folder. So Now I can come over here to this left bar here, and under Teams, I can expand and select Demo. So now in Demo, I can now go into this folder and make a document. Again, process for making a document is the same as making one for a folder. So you'd hit Create and then Document, and now uh, I'm just going to make a folder document called Demo because that's kind of the theme we're going with here. So now we can make a document, and now we have a place ready for us to start working on whatever we're trying to design. But before we start working through the exact functionalities of a document, we have to go over how to move around, the center area of your screen, which let's call it the workspace. So the first thing to know is to select things, you left click them, pretty simple. Next thing, if you want to tilt around an object, you right click and drag. So hold down your right mouse button and drag. After that, how to zoom in and out. And that's essentially the same motion as if you were scrolling uh, on a regular website. And so either with your scroll wheel or using a two finger swipe on your touchpad. Uh, and one thing to note is how it's actually zooming in wherever my cursor is. So this gives you some pretty fine control of where exactly you're zooming in. And the last thing to know is how to pan, which is looks like this motion kind of moving sideways. So the way you do that is either you hold down your scroll wheel button or control right click drag. So either one of those works, and this is kind of the reason why a three-button mouse is usually preferred when you're CADing, is because doing the control right click can sometimes be inconvenient. Either way, though, let's get back to working through the documents. So now in this document, it's divided into two kind of main workspaces. You have part studios and you have assemblies. So firstly, in part studios, you get to make individual parts. So I'm just going to quickly run through how you would make like a really simple part. Uh, Here is just going to be a nice little cube, and the exact way I am making this is for a future video, but this is just to kind of give you an idea what you can do here. And so now there we have it, a cube, very glorious. And so you get to make individual parts like these in the Part Studio. And there are a lot of different tools you have at your disposal for manipulating and adjusting the geometry of these parts. However, you don't get to make these parts interact with one another. That is what assemblies are for. And so in an assembly, again, I'll speed run a small demo. So if I have these two parts in here, uh, I can now make them interact with one another. So if I wanted to, I could, fasten them together. And what that would do is just make them rigidly connected to one another. So now when I drag one around, I drag the other one around as well. Uh, and so there we go. And there are some other more complex mates you can have as well. And of course, to use those mates, you need to be able to insert parts. And so again, to recap, assembly is a place where you can make parts interact with one another. And that this is where you might build or really CAD your entire robot, where you have all these many parts that you then bring together in one or more assemblies and make them all interact with one another. Now, aside from this main interacting area where you work with all your parts, there are also a couple of different sections that your screen is going to be divided into. And so firstly, let's go over this left toolbar, sidebar, whatever you want to call it, over here. And so there are a couple of different things that Onshape will show you. So here, the main thing it's showing you is the different parts in the assembly. And this is also shown in a part studio. And then the other thing is in the assembly, the mates, the different things, the different ways that these parts are interacting with one another. Now, it's slightly different in a part studio, where in a part studio, you're going to have all the things you did to make the part, along with some geometry like these planes right around here. And as you click stuff, it gets like highlighted or so. And then your parts just happen to be down here instead. And the other things that it shows you, just to name a few, you have the performance tab, where it just shows you how well your computer is doing. So if you have an especially crappy uh, processor or just integrated graphics, whatever it may be, then this might be something you might be using a little more often than you would like. Uh, and then there are also comments, which you can use if you're, collaborating with others. And there's also some version control and stuff that we won't get into right now, but it can be very handy when you're going through multiple iterations of a robot or something else, like along those lines. Now, the more important part, as some would argue, the top bar. Uh, and so here you have all the things you are doing per se. So in the Part Studio, you can make a sketch, and then you can do various things with those sketches. I'm not going to get into what a sketch is exactly. Again, that's something for a future video, but just so you're aware of it. You can do things with sketches, you can do things with existing parts. Uh, and then there are just various other operations that you can perform to make the part look like what you want it to look like. And in assembly, kind of a similar story. You can insert parts, and then you have various ways to connect those parts. And a couple fewer tools in the assembly page, but still very, very important. And now on this right side, firstly you have the view cube, and this is kind of an easy way to navigate from in different areas, especially if you don't have uh, a three-button mouse with you. And so you can just click on different faces to navigate around. It's kind of suboptimal, but sometimes it's just useful to be facing something head on, and this makes it pretty easy. And there are also some render options, just to make things look different. It's not very useful, but sometimes it can be handy when you're trying to get a clean screenshot of something. And finally, here we have this little bar, and so a bill of materials table, configuration panel, which uh, topic for another day, but basically when you try to insert things, you can make them configurable, so you can change how they look and work, even if you're not actively editing them, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And then there's some different views, variables, which are great if you want to um, control multiple things at the same time. And uh, again, this insert tool, this the FTC parts library insert tool that we installed earlier, is located in this sidebar right here. And so that's going to be really handy if you ever need to use that. And that those same parts, those same buttons, for the most part, are also located in the Part Studio. And finally, down here at the bottom, you have this bar with all your documents. So Part Studios, assemblies. There are also a couple of other things. You can make a variable studio, folders for organization. You can import raw files that Onshape will then convert to Part Studios or assemblies. There's a whole lot of different things you can do here, but this is basically just your file system within your document. So that pretty much wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for following along with me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks.